All right, Flo. We got some shakeups in the OEM world right now.
We got some sad news, actually. This is sad to me. So Dell is getting out of the Android game for now, as it stopped production of its Venue tablets, as well as halted operating system upgrades for current users. That is a total bummer for anybody who has the Dell Venue tablets they were actually quite awesome. They scored nicely.
Yeah, I reviewed. Yeah, okay. So did you do their last one? I think it was the 7000, the Dell Venues, or what was it?
I didn't say the name of it because I didn't want to screw up the name.
The
because
Venue
it's
8 7000.
Venue 8 7000.
Yeah.
Yes, I did review. That was actually a great tablet, but I completely understand why they're getting out of the game because the Slate tablet, it's not really in demand as much as it used to be. Sales are down. People aren't going out. Once you get a tablet, you kind of hold on to it for a couple of years and makes sense. But it's not like, I feel like they weren't doing very much marketing around it anyway.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat was like, Dell's still in the Android game? Really? Because, it's not a prominent necessarily player.
Yeah, but then we got a couple other shakeups in the LG round, and I totally was just like, LG's got no chill. Which is a thing the millennials say. The latest flagship, the LG G5, is apparently not selling all that well. And so the company, yesterday actually, 4th of July, a holiday over here, laid off some of its executives as part of the mobile team as it tries to rebuild new momentum with this mobile effort. So trying to put new people at the helm to try and turn around the business, make things go a little more smoothly. LG says that the changes are meant to keep the division afloat in light of challenging market situations.
Apologize for the missing K there.
That's all right. I don't actually know what you meant to say with that, but I read the typo out loud, so I hope everyone enjoyed that.
It's okay. I just missed a letter. That's all.
But I do have to say, I think that was really interesting. And so yesterday I saw this news and I was like, well, I'm not working today, but I'm going to read this news item. And I read the chart of smartphone shipments for this year, and LG is number 7.
Yeah.
It used to be number 4, like a couple of years ago, even I think 2014.
All right, so the G5 not selling well. Apparently friends aren't, consumer appealing, which, what do you think, Russell? Do you think this whole kind of modular thing, just taking LG, for example, and then we can talk about Dell a little bit, but do you think this is a failure on LG's part to capitalize on something that should be a nice selling point, the whole modular thing? Or is this kind of an indictment of the modular aspect that we seem to be heading down this road real fast of modular is the next thing with Android phones? Is this a sign that maybe it's not?
No, you also have to keep in mind the other weird things that happened with the LG G5. It was an expensive phone compared to, just about every other phone that it was competing with. And it had a weird camera array on it to help kind of justify that cost that didn't work out very well. So even like standing on its own, before you even take into account the modular stuff that you would then pay more money for, the phone had some pretty interesting challenges, and it just didn't compete well with especially the Galaxy S7, which was the only phone in its price bracket that it competed with at the time. And then when you take a look at the modular stuff, it was a cool idea. I think the starting lineup that they had was a little lacking, I think. But even just the camera grip stuff was really cool, but then it didn't work everywhere. AT&T users can't use any of those accessories at all. If you try and plug in the camera module to the AT&T G5, it just doesn't even turn on.
Then Motorola came in and was like, here's how you do modulars, y'all. You just snap it on the back. You don't have to take out any battery or break your nail trying to take the module out. It's
right. No so hollow body on the inside. Just slide the component into or whatever. The hollow body's kind of
creepy. It's a little creepy.
It's a little weird, and it's weirdly fragile when it's like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's it definitely their implementation could have used some work, but even just standalone, the G5 had a lot of problems, and price, especially this year, was a really big one.
Yeah, and then Dell, man, I had to look it up because I couldn't remember exactly where I fell on the Dell the 7000 because it has the kind of like the circular bar on the side, and you could use it as a convertible, kind of like an Android multitasking, environment with a convertible keyboard and everything like that. And I think I gave it a try only because it was a decent tablet, but if what you wanted was that kind of multitasking capability, I'm just still not sold on Android as a multitasking environment, and I just didn't think it worked as well as it probably promised. So
I loved that tablet as far as being able to use it. The multitasking thing, we're not going to get the software that the Dell tablet should have had until N is fully released. Mm-hmm. But the trackpad that thing had, I wish I could put that on every Android tablet ever. The fact that the Pixel C doesn't have one is unfortunate. But the other big thing to keep in mind with Dell's tablet business was they had a really strong relationship with Intel, who is no longer making mobile processors. So with them out of the picture, I'm sure that Intel was funding quite a bit of that because they were putting their RealSense cameras into it and stuff like that. So there just became a lot less reason for Dell to stay in that particular business.
Sure.
So maybe they're not selling it anymore, partially because their big partner has been like, it's not going to happen for us. We're just not going to do it anymore. Because it felt like that tablet was very much like a selling mechanism for some of the Intel technology in that space.
Yeah, very well could be. And it's all kind of also indicative of, at least to some degree, of kind of the shrinking, the appetite for these smart devices. Like there will be casualties along the way, and
absolutely,
they're all battling it right now in their own ways. Be it laying off executives to reorganize, slashing the division entirely because they want to focus on other things that they think have bigger upside. And right now, smart devices is becoming more and more challenging. People have just changed their buying habits and, have devices that already work and already have devices where they didn't before. So it's a different market now than it was a couple of years ago.
Unless you're Samsung.
Well, yeah, what Samsung has done is proven that they are the big kahuna in the room when it comes to Android devices. And that gets it pretty far, I think.
Well, if you make a device that that everybody has glowing rave reviews about, and that has the most store visibility when you walk into a carrier store, of course the thing is going to sell really well. I had to go back to the Verizon store last weekend because Verizon again cut off my service. And I had to go to a Verizon store here in New Jersey, and the lady actually, her name was Amber. She was very helpful. She put down the LG G5 as the phone that I had in the hand because it wouldn't let me register the 6P as my phone in their system. And as she was doing that, she was saying, "I love this phone so much." And I asked her, and I was like, "Why do you like the phone?" I'm like, "Do you like to take the things in and out of it? Are you?" She's like, "No, I just like the shape."
Well.
So
sure.
I'm not surprised because I'm sure, and I think that's kind of the challenge of the G5, right? Is that, it kind of goes back to, is the modular thing something that everybody wants? Probably not. Some people just want a solid, device. But then this is a device that has banked its existence, at least this year, on that feature, and it's a pretty major feature to not care about. To buy a device with this huge feature and you don't really care to use it, you just want a nice looking device or whatever, that's not a big selling point for the device. So
do we think Motorola is going to have any more success with their modular devices?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think that's where my kind of hesitancy lies a little bit, as far as trying to figure out, is this a, modular phones aren't necessarily the thing people want sort of thing, or is this just that LG didn't do modular right?
Well, you have to keep in mind that Motorola nailed the two big things that people are going to care about when it comes to the idea of a modular phone. The first is, you mean I can clip this thing on my back and the back of my phone and triple its battery life?
Yeah.
And the second is, you mean I can clip this thing on the back and get a way louder speaker?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so they become simple
and customize
things.
It.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's
It was weird that the G5 didn't do anything for battery, that they instead focused on the camera thing, which was really awkward to hold and use, and then didn't work with every G5. Mm-hmm. So it was, I definitely don't think that this is an indictment on the idea of a modular phone. I think that Motorola will be a little more successful there because their implementation is nicer.
Yep. The hot
It
swapping aspect.
smoother.
Just pop it right on. Yeah, very curious to see that.